This is a video of our August trip through Gang Ranch. We left Vancouver on Friday after work, rode to Pemberton where we had a bite to eat and a craft beer at the Pony. Headed out from there to Rogers Creek Campground on the Duffy Lake, and carried on Saturday morning through Lillooet, Big Bar Ferry, went to Gang Ranch, came back out to Clinton, and spent the night at Downing Provincial Park on Saturday night. This is the beginning of the road to the Big Bar Ferry. It's about 100 kilometers long, not very well traveled. We ran into a few vehicles, as you'll see just ahead. I ran into a truck coming around a corner pretty quick here. Here's the first bit of footage from Richard's GoPro. You can see the image does look a lot better than my Garmin Verb, mostly because of the fact that I have my settings incorrect, and I have it set for low light and it's really washed out. But I do tend to like the image stabilization on the GoPro much better than the way the Verb does it. I think it comes down to the way they stabilize the image. Garmin uses gyroscopes or accelerometers, and the GoPro, I think, uses the image, but it just seems to have a different effect, and I like the GoPro image better. Most of this ride we're riding up on roads carved into the side of the mountain with quite a bit of drop below us. So it affords for excellent views of the Fraser River and the canyon below. Unfortunately, it's hard to see in the video because, of course, if we turn our head over there to look, we're going to ride over the cliff. But, you catch it in your peripheral when you're riding. You see a lot more of it than the camera shows. It's fantastic view for 99% of this road. the road had been moved and rebuilt, at least compared to the maps that we had. It ran in a slightly different spot. And right at the end, we got to this section that was very, very steep switchbacks. And it had at least been newly graded because it was quite soft, and you can see the marks from the excavator running up and down the road. I'm not sure if this is the way that has always been there to access the Big Bar Ferry, or if this is new and they had to move the road, but it's an incredibly steep road. If you keep watching, you'll see that the grade looks steep on the camera, and as everybody knows, the camera flattens everything out. So this was a real test to the front brakes. It wound down for quite a few kilometers like this, and switched back with lots of 180-degree switchbacks that were where the roads were almost side by side, but only at different elevations. It was quite something. It was a great view coming down because, of course, you could see everything. You could see the river and the valley and the ferry for the whole ride down. Finally, we arrive at the Big Bar Ferry, something of a must-do if you're an adventure bike rider or a dual sport rider in BC. I think it's kind of iconic, and I can see why. It's a long way from anywhere, 100 kilometers from Lillooet down this road you've been watching, and there's even less on the other side. But it was really cool. I was expecting to have the legendary grumpy "don't videotape me" ferry operator aboard that I keep hearing about on other videos and forums, but the lady and the fellow that were running the ferry were awesome. They gave us a bit of info on what to expect on the other side and road conditions and stuff, and told us a little bit about the rock slide that was blocking the Fraser, that was affecting the spawning salmon that was just upstream, that they were both going to volunteer at after their shift at work here to help clear. So I thought that was pretty awesome as well. Once we got off the ferry, we took Pavilion and Meadow Lake Road out towards Gang Ranch. It was kind of a last-minute decision to head out there. I thought it was going to be way too far, but it turned out The roads are quite well groomed and quite fast, so we carried about an average speed of maybe 70 kilometers an hour most of the time. And the terrain was absolutely amazing, completely different than what I'm used to. Here we are coming up to the bridge that goes back across the other side of the Fraser River on Gang Ranch Road. At this point, we're almost in Gang Ranch. Here we are coming into Gang Ranch. It's, I think it's the second largest ranch in Canada. I'm not 100% on that, but I think I heard that somewhere. And it's one of the oldest, I believe, in BC. It was established in the 1800s. We expected that there would be fuel available here for some reason. I don't think anybody told us that, but we thought there would be. The area we are riding into now looks like it used to be, or maybe still is in a different time of year, a bit of a tourist stop, and there's a post office there as well, a very small community for the workers, but no fuel. So we decided to turn around and head back to Dog Creek Road, which is on the other side of that bridge we just crossed, and there was a sign that there was a fuel station. So of course, when we got to Dog Creek Road and reread the sign, we realized the gas station we were looking for was closed. So we decided to head to Clinton for fuel. I thought it was the closest place, and set our GPSs to lead us there. And it turned us in on this two-track road that you're seeing now. It got tighter and tighter and rougher. We considered turning around, but with the amount of fuel we had left, that wasn't an option. So we carried on, and I'm glad we did. After staying on this 2-track for a while, we came across this little settlement or homestead. I don't know what you'd call it. It was a number of old log buildings that we got off and explored inside and around all of them. You can see that people had lived there in relatively recent times, because there was some asphalt shingles that were used to re-roof some of the places. And the building I'm riding up to now looks like someone's fixed it up a little bit as a hunting cabin or something. But all really old buildings, a lot of old foundations. It looks like there was some barns built there. They were massive log foundations, but no building left. And then maybe 4 or 5 or 6 different little houses. One we went up into had a cool little fence and a gate that still worked out front of it. It's the one I'm riding past now on the left. But it was really neat to see that, and it felt like we might have been the only people there for years, but probably not, because the 2 tracks looked like they were traveled by Jeeps and 4x4s. But definitely a little gem and a really cool discovery. We carried on down the road that got progressively better, and it was actually a lot of fun heading towards Clinton, where we were going to spend the night at the Downing campground, provincial campground. On the way through Clinton, we stopped at a little barbecue restaurant called Mike's Roadkill Cafe that's just on the side of the main road going through Clinton, inside of a trailer park of all things. His Mike's Barbecue is inside the building, so you're sitting inside all the barbecue smoke. It was a really really awesome meal and a fun time, because it was a completely different kind of restaurant. So that was our end of our day 2. We camped at Downing. I don't have any film of that. I ran out of GoPro batteries here shortly, and I just was too tired to swap it out. So I don't have any footage of Downing or Clinton or Mike's Roadkill Cafe, but that's what we did that night. And stay tuned. I'm going to post up our ride home, which was actually a lot of fun. We rode from Downing and Clinton down the Trans-Canada and went across the other reaction ferry on the Fraser River, coming from Lytton across, and took the roads home back, the back roads through Nahatlatch and East Harrison, Kukipi Pass, and what have you, to Harrison Lake. And it was the roads were in really good condition, nice and dry, and we made a pretty quick trip of it. It was a lot of fun.